I wish I were still the boy I used to be. Back then, all those years ago, when the accident happened, it really changed me. I wasn't the same. I didn't feel the same. People didn't look at me the same. Now people are scared of me. They run away in fear, and they cover their children's eyes to hide the hideous monster standing right in front of them. I haven't had a friend in years, and I haven't had a meaningful conversation with someone in such a long time. There exists such a longing inside of me for it to go back to how it all was when I was younger. But after so long, I fear that it may all just be a lost cause. Let me explain everything. Let me explain how much better my life was all those years ago. My name is Samuel Windblade, and I was once a child who lived in the suburbs of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I had lots of hobbies I would fill my day-to-day with, such as making music on BandLab and creating plush videos on YouTube. It was fun, and while my music and videos weren't good, I liked them, and they made me laugh. Though, I was only really happy when I was alone. At school, it was a different story. I didn't have many friends back in the day. Not one person wanted to hang out with me or eat at my lunch table. Every time I tried to make friends with people, they would give me dirty looks and then laugh at me and call me Blumpkin Boy. I would tell them to stop, but they never would. I would cry and cry to myself in the stairwell in between classes about how terribly I was being treated by my fellow students. Though, there was one day, I remember it like it was yesterday. There was a new kid at school. It was very rare for there to be new students. It was a boy. His name was Benny Lenny. He was shy and was struggling to get settled into his new school. I thought it was sad, and I wanted to try and talk to him so badly. But I knew that the other students would make fun of me, and by extension, him, and it wouldn't be very good. I'd rather carry the burden of all the pain instead of it going to someone else. Though, to my surprise, and later horror, Benny Lenny decided to come over and sit with me at lunch. All the other tables were filled to the brim with other students, and my table was the only one that was completely empty, except for me. We talked a little after he sat down, and I learned that he was a Chinese influencer from Bing Bong, Chinatown. It was so nice. After so many years of pain, I finally had a light in my life, another person to fill the void of happiness in my dull and pain-filled life. Though, just like everything, my happiness needs to be short-lived. Another student sitting at a table across the room noticed us as we were talking about our favorite YouTuber, KSI, and shouted out for the entire school to hear. "Hey everyone! Blumpkin Boy has a playmate! We should show him what happens when he goes out of line and starts having fun." The entire cafeteria then got up and started running towards us. Benny Lenny was scared and didn't know what was happening or what to do. I yelled for him to run out of the cafeteria before it's too late, but he was stuck in shock and couldn't move. Before I could snap him out of it, it was too late. All the other students started ripping him limb from limb and stabbing him with my drawing pencils. They completely took him apart like a toy and tossed his parts into a pile in the middle of the room. They then set his pieces ablaze, and Benny Lenny was turned into a campfire of pain. I ran out of the cafeteria crying as the other students started to chant an evil phrase in an alien language that had never been heard before in history. I yet again spent my days crying in the stairwell after what happened. I cried so much that they had to hire a plumber to drain the school of all my tears. which just led to even more ridicule from my fellow students. One day, I got fed up and tried to talk to some teachers to see if they could help me and put a stop to all my pain. But just like the students, they would just start pointing at me and calling me a filthy blumpkin boy. School was horrible for me. And just to top it off and put a cherry on top, my teachers hated me so much that they would fail me on all my assignments. No matter how hard I worked on my classes and tried to graduate, the entire school had it out for me and wouldn't let me be happy, even for a second. The only people who ever treated me well were my parents. They weren't the best parents out there. You probably have ones that are much better. But for me, and all the people I've had to deal with, these two were saints. I love my mom, even beyond anything she's ever done to me. She may have been the one who started the Blumpkin Boy name after I left her irreversibly fat after she gave birth to me, but she would buy me lollipops when we'd go out and get groceries. And she was the person who gave me my purple dildo plush, who is the main character in all my YouTube plush videos. So, I have her to thank for a lot of my happiness. And my dad, Big Cena from the dark side of the city, he made me who I am now. His lashings every night from the ages of 16 to 34 really shaped the person I've become today, and is how I've been able to keep kicking after everything I've had to deal with at school. But, unfortunately, they heard about what happened at school and about how I failed all my classes. They were pissed. They were furious. I tried to tell them so hard that it was all just a misunderstanding and that the teachers and the students had it out for me. But they weren't taking that explanation. My mom yelled at me and said I was a filthy fucking liar, and my dad backed her up. I told her the truth, and that I was being framed by the school as a bad student, and that the students and teachers make fun of me and call me names. I even told them that they killed my only friend, Benny Lenny, but my parents kept telling me that I was a liar, and that the school told them that I often act out at school. I fled the stairwell, and I lit a kid on fire after tearing them apart. I was crying. Through tears, I kept trying to tell them that they were lying, and that I didn't do any of that. But they didn't care. I wanted to keep fighting so that they could hear my side, but I was so tired and couldn't say anything through the tears. "Stop crying, Blumpkin boy," my mother said. My dad then grabbed my arm and dragged me to the car. He shoved me in the back seat and duct taped me to the seat so I couldn't move. He drove me up and down hills for 7 days and 7 nights. We drove across all 61 states and finally reached the destination. The car came to a stop, and my dad got out of the car. He ripped the duct tape off me so hard that it ripped all my body hair off and shoved me out of the car. He told me that I don't get to come home until I get my act together and start being a good person again. And just like that, he sped away. I was stranded, stuck in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, inside a dense forest, in a state that I've never been in before, on the other side of the country. I was framed and lied about, and I've lost the only people who ever treated me a little right. I don't know what to do anymore. Where am I? I tried to look around for a sign or a building or something, but the forest was so dense that I couldn't see very far ahead of me, despite it being the crack of dawn. I walked around for a bit and eventually found a winding path leading away from the road I was dropped off on. I began to follow it and see where it led me. I walked and walked and walked as far as my hairless legs could take me. I finally reached a clearing and found where the path led. I saw a few assorted buildings close to each other, as well as some other things like a basketball court and an outhouse. What is this place? I started to approach the buildings and eventually found an old sign that was being covered by vines and overgrown earth. I brushed the vines and shrubs away and could read the name of the place. Children's House of Unreasonable Desires. How odd. This is a camp of some sort? A camp for people like me who are framed against the evil people in their lives? Who's to say? Though, where is everybody? There's no one here. Everything here is so run down and abandoned. No one has been here in years. Why did my parents take me to a place that is clearly abandoned? Well, I'm probably going to be here for a while. I might as well set up a camp so I don't get eaten by a bear or something. I walked into one of the buildings and saw a counter at the back wall and a bunch of shelves knocked down all around the room. Is this a store of some sort? Why would a camp need a store? That didn't matter to me though. This place has food and I'm starving. I reached down and pushed one of the shelves off the merchandise and find some bags of lightly salted Chinese chips. My favorite chip flavor. I grab all the bags of chips and put them into a plastic bag from behind the counter. There's more stuff here, but I want to explore the other buildings. I walk out of the store and walked into the building right next door. Inside is a long dinner table, looking like it can fit 37 people nicely for a great dinner. I wonder what kind of foods the people who used to live here would eat at this table. A nice roasted turkey? Maybe a balsamic vinegar enema? Who's to say? A lot of royal meals were probably held here. I looked around the room and found a side room near the back of the building. I decided to walk inside, and all that stood before me was a bathtub and a tiny wooden table sitting next to it. I walked closer and noticed that the bathtub was stained a yellow color. Odd. On the table next to it lies a hardened slab of butter, still mostly in the packaging, and a blue paper towel. What was happening in this room when this place was still operating? I don't want to think about that. I turned around and went to leave the room, back into the dining area, and noticed a shadow quickly dart away from the doorway. What the fuck was that? I didn't hear anything or anyone. Was someone watching me? I yelled out hello to see if I could get a response, but I heard nothing. Maybe I was just seeing things. I am really tired. Maybe I should see if there's a bed for me to sleep in for the night. I left the dining building and started walking towards the third building, which was in a different area away from the other two buildings. I walked inside and was faced with a hallway leading to many rooms. I decided to look inside some of them. It's a room lined with beds on the top of beds, filling the entire room. I checked another room, and it was the same thing. Beds stacked on top of beds. I checked every other room, and all of them were the same. This must have been the building that the kids would reside in while there aren't any camp activities going on. I decided to set up my stuff in the furthest room from the door, since I was still on edge after my encounter in the bathtub room. I threw my bag of chips onto one of the beds and lied down. The bed was filthy and bugs were living inside of it, but after being in a car for 7 days and 7 nights, it was nice and felt good. I opened one of the bags of chips and started eating the succulently delicious, lightly salted Chinese chips. It was so good. Even though I was alone and in the middle of nowhere, I wasn't sad or mad. This was normal for me. I was always alone. This is nothing new. Maybe getting taken here was a blessing in disguise and exactly what I needed. Maybe my parents did care. I eventually finished my bag of lightly salted Chinese chips, crunched up the bag, and threw it on the floor. I then ripped a piece of drywall off the wall and used it like a blanket and snuggled into my new bed. I then go to sleep. Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z Z. I get abruptly waken up and hear a noise inside the building. Whatever I saw a few hours ago is back and is nearby. I hide under the drywall and try to make as little noise as possible. I peek into the room through a hole in the drywall and watch to see when the coast is clear. I hear footsteps and scurrying in the hallway and other rooms. I cover my mouth to minimize the noise I make. I see a shadow pass by in the doorway of the room I'm in. It's so close, but it doesn't know I'm here. I continue to hide, but just like the rest of my life, something has to go wrong. I never mentioned this, but I'm fat. Like really, really fat. It's kind of unbelievable how fucking rotund I am. And just like how it's likely the reason everything bad happens in my life already, it also ruined this. As I was peeking out to see where the monster was, my fat ass moving altered the gravitational pull of the bed and knocked it over, causing a giant metal sound and alerting the monster to my location. I tried to get up and escape through a window, but before I could get out, I heard heavy breathing coming from behind me. I slowly turn and look and see the monster that has been pursuing me. It's a giant, slimy green llama-looking creature with a huge grin on its face. Its small, beady, evil eyes that were reflecting my own face back at me. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. I was stuck. I was hopeless. My entire pathetic, useless life has led to this very moment, and I couldn't even help myself. I wasn't even scared. I wasn't sad. I wasn't shocked. I was just emotionless. I couldn't care anymore. My life sucks. My life is terrible. No one likes me. No one loves me. I'm a sad, sad man. And the only fitting end to this pitiful life is by getting killed and consumed by this evil, disgusting creature. I closed my eyes and accepted what was to come as I slowly get consumed inside of the creature's warm and moist belly. Years have passed. No one has come looking for me. No one remembers me. My parents never came back for me. I tried to end it all for everyone's sake all that time ago, yet I still remain. I am still here. I don't look like how I used to. I'm a hideous, disgusting pink creature. I can't die. I can't breathe. I can't do anything useful. My life was pathetic before, but now it's even more abominable. All I am is a homunculus pig, and I should be ashamed.